Right, so just a random ride today. Just a little random ride. Going to take this little bike for a little ride. Maybe give it some petrol. Just a little spin today for the BMW, and then I'll be putting it away. Putting this bike away for a few months, I think, because we're near the end of the month now as of recording, and which means that well, the tax would be due as well, and I don't want to ride this bike over the summer months. I mean, I could, but I won't have time. So I'm going to change it. I'm going to change this bike, take this bike off the road, put the VFR on to my, well, yeah, get the VFR on the road. Can't really wait for that. I can't wait for that, to be honest. That'd be a nice little ride on that. I can't wait. Actually, you know what? I'm really happy that I'm going to get the VFR on the road. It's going to be sad to take the BMW off the road. So easy to travel on. But we're not about ease, are we? Nothing's easy on my channel. So yeah. But with the CT on the road now, I don't need this bike on the road for off-road during the summer, really. So it will come back. BMW will come back near the end of the year, probably September, October time. Probably October time when the weather starts to turn. So the VFR will come on now. So it's May, June, July, August, September. Yeah, about that sounds good. 5-6 months maybe of the VFR. Then I'll put it away and get this one back out again. So we rotate them round, but I just want to make sure, just give it a nice little last stretch of its legs. Give it a nice 50-mile run or something like that. Put it away, fill it up maybe, put it away, and then get out the other bikes. I mean, you know, this is one of these problems when you have too many bikes. If you have 2 bikes, not too bad, but when you have too many, I don't want to pay the road tax. That's a lot of road tax to pay if you think about it, because the 650 and the 750 put it in the higher bracket. A bit annoying, so you're paying the full taxation class for motorbikes. Okay, fine, it's a bit annoying, but I'm only going to put it on for 6 months. And then even if I don't use all the 6 months, I'll just cancel it and refund it at the end. So I'll get my money back, sort of thing. So it's not, I know some people don't like to do that. Some people just tax all the vehicles and be done with it. But I ain't going to do that. I'm just going to give this bike a little ride today. And that's what this is. Just a little bit of a quick blat around for a bit. And then I can take the CT off-road for off-road days and the VFR for them longer road trips, which will be fun. I've got a lot planned this summer, so hopefully I can do it all. I've got a few things booked. Yeah, it's not going to be, it's a lot, but it's not a lot of time away, because it's a lot of, like, you know, weekend here, weekend there sort of thing. That's about all it is. Nothing too major, apart from one. What's that noise? Something's vibrating. Oh no, I think that was a drill back there or something in the road. Anyway, what was I saying? Yes. So recently purchased. What I recently purchased, I don't know. Well, I was going to send the Honda CT 6.5 seat off, but I decided, and I've sold a Cub, by the way. I sold a Honda Cub recently. I did. Yes, I am back down to 9 bikes. I know, it's dreadful, isn't it? I sold one of my Honda Cubs, and I got 425 quid for it, which isn't too bad considering how much I paid for it. I used it, abused it, stripped it apart, and sold it for a fair price. Like, I didn't make money on it, I didn't lose money, I kind of needed the space, so I've sold it, it's gone. And that money, 400 and odd quid that I got from it, has gone to, well, some of it went to buy a 3D printer. Yeah, a 3D printer. Oh, but interestingly, I believe that Honda Cub has already been finished. The guy repaired all the rust holes on it and everything, done a lovely job on it, and it's up for sale right now. So yeah. Wow, it's a quick turnaround. If he sells it for the price he's listing it for, I guess he makes a bit of profit. I don't know how much money he spent doing it up, but the engine and everything he had with it, so he said it all worked and everything seemed fine. So you know, got himself a deal, I guess. I mean, the Cub prices are starting to come down now. So if you're looking to buy a Cub, the prices are coming down now. So 700 quid for a Cub. We are back in that sort of era now. So the prices of Cubs are cheaper now than they were 10 years ago. So the price of Cubs are coming down. It's like, oh, the price of Cubs is going up. Yes, but if you adjust for inflation, oh, I think I know what that is. That's my radiator guard. Yeah, I need some new radiator guards for these, because I took a big old stone in it last year, I did, and I've just kind of like patched it together, but it just, I mean, it went out the other week on it, didn't I, camping, just hasn't held, so I need new radiator guards. I can just hear them vibrating. Might get some plastic ones, might get some, you know, better ones, who knows. But yeah, I do need some new radiator guards for this, so this bike will be coming off the road, and I'll probably purchase some new radiator guards and slowly do the work on this bike in the background, you know, give it a little service, a little clean up maybe. But yeah, the VFR will be coming on. So yeah, the price of Cubs is coming down if you adjust for inflation. So 10 years ago, what you'd pay for a Cub to what you pay for one now is more, but if you adjust for inflation, they're about the same. Because I think a year ago the Cub craze was at its peak. Maybe the bubbles burst, I don't know, we'll wait and see. Anyway, so loop back around, sorry, I'm just all over the shop today. The 3D printer I bought, I've been wanting one of these for years and years and years and years. I think it was like back in must have been a long time ago, it must have been like 2013, 2012, somewhere around that time. There was a Kickstarter for one, and I almost backed it. It was like, the guy was like, yeah, just we're going to make these really cheap 3D printers, and I still think it was like almost $1,000 for the printer, and I didn't buy it. When 3D printers came out more recently, or the last couple of, like 2 years ago when we were in lockdown, I almost bought a cheap one off eBay for like 100 quid, and it was like the basic, you know, this is like the cheapest basic one to get. And at the time on YouTube and everything, all the reviews say, if you want a 3D printer and it's your first 3D printer, for 100 to 150 quid, this is really good. Now I thought, okay, that's really tempting, but I wouldn't see any practical use for it, because the sizes that you could only print for were small, and it has no, like, unless you want to print a load of Warhammer figurines, or you want to print some sort of chess set, then there's no real world, I can't utilise it for what I'd want. So I decided, you know what, I'll leave it for now. I will leave it for now, and I'll wait. And then I saw these other, there's tons out there, and you just kind of have to like, and I shopped around, and it wasn't until like Phil Ferretti gave me that keyring, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to pull the trigger on a 3D printer at some point, because this is something that, I'm not a smart man, hell, I'm barely an educated man, but the only two GCSEs that I got, well, actually I got a couple, but the two main ones that I'm proud of getting was electronics, I can't even speak, is like product design, and I got 3D art. So my brain, well, I've always sort of like worked in that thing, and I have played a few hundred hours of Minecraft in my life, and I'm pretty okay-ish when it comes to 3D software as well. Like back in the day, we're talking like 2006, 2007, I used to make Counter-Strike maps, not very good Counter-Strike maps, but you know, I would make Counter-Strike maps, or maps in Source. The first couple of ones I made was just like a big box with a room with a small gap that people could fall out the level in, you know, that sort of thing. But you know, it's all experience, and it's a lot of time. It takes a lot of time and effort to get all that experience, to get it all where you want it to go, sort of thing, which can be quite, well, difficult. So you know, I wouldn't. It's one of those things that it is still a hobbyist craft, so it's not like, or an enthusiast, so it's not a simple case of getting like a printer, like a Hewlett Packard, plugging it in, telling it to print a picture, and boom, you've got perfect picture. It's a lot of dialing in. There's a lot of like honing your settings, find out what works best for you, etc, etc. There's so many factors to consider as well. It's mind-blowing. So I basically was watching a load of YouTube videos on one particular printer and then decided to buy a completely different printer, completely different one. And I was like, well, what am I going to do now? I've got a completely different printer to the one that I've spent hours researching. So I had to like re-watch a load of videos again to like work out what to do with this printer. And then I worked out that when I turned it on, when I've got it in the post and everything, I turned it on, realised that it doesn't match up to the printer I've been watching, because they do different versions. They do revisions of the same make and model, which is really, really confusing. So my printer, when I did certain actions, didn't behave in the way that the guys did on YouTube. So I had to like look, and the version I've got doesn't seem to be much out there at all. So but luckily you can kind of like adjust things, and I was like, okay, well I can adjust it so I can make my printer do this and do that. So it is a lot of honing in. It's a lot of trial and error, an immense amount of trial and error. Like I printed off a bunch of GoPro mounts, and some of them worked okay, some of them I messed up and didn't have the correct settings on, so they didn't work very well, and they were very solid, well, solid enough. So that's the thing, because I lowered the, like, everything's hollow, you can make plastic hollow, so I made them almost hollow, which made them very weak, but it was a test print, and I'm glad I did make them quite hollow and didn't go for the full solid mount, because otherwise I'd have to throw all that away, and that would have taken a very long time to print. So it's one of those things where I've been doing a crazy amount of trial and error, and that's basically how I've managed to keep going. But I will print a bunch of 3D mounts, and I will mount them to the bike or my helmet at some point to test them out, and maybe list what settings I had printed on. But the problem is the settings depend on your printer, your type of material you use, the condition of your room that you're actually printing it, because it's all to do with temperatures and can it cool it in time, etc, etc. So yeah, and if your bed is not level, there's so many. So no, I cannot recommend 3D printed GoPro mounts at the moment for motorbikes, but I have got them set up so I can time lapse the actual printer itself, which is really good. And so that's about £5-6 worth of mounts that I've printed off that work. The rest of mounts that I've printed don't work. So what I will do is I will have to I'll have to change it. I will have to change what I'm printing, change my settings to get them printed right, but I've done that now, I've worked that out. So it's a lot of trial and error. Sorry if it doesn't interest you about 3D printers, but they are very the parts that people can print with them are amazing. The fact that you can print like a whole airbox for a motorbike on a 3D printer is amazing. So that sort of thing is something that that's the sort of thing that I'm going to use it for. As soon as I saw that you could print off the following parts, I was like, if I was to buy them parts from somewhere else and then get them, and especially as I've got rare Japanese bikes, so the import alone would be silly. So yeah, it's just so worth it, me just having a 3D printer. So yeah, if you're a tinkerer, then you can't just hit print, walk away and hope it's done when you come back. There's so many things that can go wrong, it's insane. It's not fun, and you've got to just get used to it that you can press print and nothing could be ready apart from a mess or a wasted load of material. Material is not that expensive, depending on what you're printing with. It's about 20 quid a kilo, something like that, the average price is. And these things cost grams to make. I think a GoPro mount cost a few grams of material and it will make it, which is crazy. I haven't like tested them on the road yet, but I've tested them in person. I've wounded them down. I've wound them down all the way, tightened them up, etc, etc. And oh, I'm going the wrong way. I've wound them down, etc, etc, and I've made them, you know, and they crack, they do all that stuff, but that's, you know, it's a part of trial and error, isn't it? Anyway, sorry for this rambling video. Just thought I'd let everyone know that that's what I've been doing the past like couple of days in the evenings, just tinkering away, and I've managed to print off some really nice little knickknacks for the bikes, for myself, for some friends. Done a lot of experimenting. The first few prints were trash. They're getting better. I'm getting better using it, getting my head around it. Each printer definitely has its own quirks. If anyone's wondering, I have a Creality 3 Ender Pro, but it's a V4, revision V4, and that one is different firmware, etc, etc, etc. The only firmware I cared about was that thermal runaway, because I do not want a 3D printer bursting into flames. Thank you very much. Although I'm sure that even without thermal runaway, it still probably could burst into flames. They run at 200 degrees at least. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Thanks for all the support for the patrons. Goodbye, BMW. You have served me well over these winter months, and the CT110 will be used over the summer months as my summer hack for off-roading. Sure, it's not as fast, but we primarily spend, even on the days out, big days out on the big bikes off-road, we primarily spend our days on roads like these, so back roads, 40 miles an hour, 50 miles an hour tops, and that's what the CT can just about do. So I don't see any problem there. The only downside is the range, but the range is better than a Honda Cub. Anyway, I've got some more videos coming out soon. What I've done with the 3D printer, stuff that I've built with a 3D printer, maybe, or added on to certain bikes. So little knickknacks like that are being added on. I really need to get that rattle sorted out, but that is the radiator guard. Anyway, that's the end of the video. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all the support. Sorry if it's been a bit rambly. Check out my patrons. For the patrons who don't check out the patrons on a regular basis, I will try to keep you some more nice stuff. Hopefully soon you'll see some extra stuff. Not too much extra stuff. Oh yeah, don't forget to check out the podcast. I've got a few avid listeners who really like it, and as a lot of my patrons really do like the podcast, I guess I'll have to keep making them, considering that they pay me the big buccarinos, sort of. Anyway, thank you very much again. Sorry for being really rambly, and this really is the end of the video. I'm going to turn the camera off now and stop recording in 3, 2, goodbye.